Let's make it last.
Lead in one of the most successful sitcoms in television history.
You know, Mr. Malone, we've known each other only seconds, and I'm already tired of you.
Imagine the critics say the show will live or die based on the chemistry you have with the other actors.
I am not going with you. There are a lot of people that hang out here that I'd rather be seen with.
Imagine you're Kirstie Alley walking onto the set of Cheers in 1987. Kirstie Alley was born 37 years ago in Wichita, Kansas, the middle of 3 children. Her father ran a lumber company, and her mother raised her restless daughter with a sense of humor. It would eventually come in handy. But first, she had to grow up, something she did not do gracefully. She found temporary solace in cocaine and a temporary career as an interior designer.
I'm from Kansas. I'm working out here as an interior designer. I do residential and commercial interior design. Yes!
Later in Los Angeles, she also made ends meet by appearing on game shows like Password Plus. She had left Kansas in the early 80s because she wanted 2 things, to be drug-free and an actress.
Stand by. Project parabolic course to avoid entering neutral zone.
She says she owes her break to the fact that someone in casting thought she looked a bit like a Vulcan. Star Trek II was her first big acting job, but that success came with the news that her parents back in Kansas had been in a serious car accident, and her mother was dead.
So you're the one that's been kicking me.
Well, you were the one that ate all that spicy food.
Had her mother survived, she would have seen her daughter climb the Hollywood ladder from TV movies to the mega hit, Look Who's Talking. And of course, there's Rebecca Howe, the insecure, optimistic manager of a bar called Cheers.
Sam Malone, I want you to get ready for the most exciting night of your life.
And the Emmy goes to Kirstie Alley. Cheers.
Last year, Kirstie got a well-deserved Emmy for her 4th season on Cheers and delivered an acceptance speech the Academy will never forget.
I'd like to thank my husband, Parker, the man who has given me the big one for the last 8 years.
She has been married for 8 years to actor Parker Stevenson, who first found fame as a teen idol in the Hardy Boys mystery TV series.
This is Lizzie, Buster, Radar, Beauty, Lucky, Annabelle. Is that it? Here, they want this is what they want. There.
What are these, orange-eating dogs?
They eat oranges.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Kirstie and Parker are perennial tabloid targets. If it's not their marriage, it's her weight. And then, sadly, a year and a half ago, she had a miscarriage. She still wants a child, but until that time, she is house mother to literally dozens of pets.
No, this is not dog food.
Radar, you nutball.
Kirstie and Parker live in the former estate of jazz singer Al Jolson, a home she prides in being environmentally sound. No air conditioners, no hazardous detergents, fertilizers, and so on. She herself redecorated, remodeled, reimagined this 32-room estate, turning it into one of the loveliest homes I've ever seen. There's a guest wing that's so cozy, I'm sure she has trouble convincing visitors that their time is up. Everywhere there are fresh flowers. She has vowed to spend weekly for flowers what she once spent weekly for cocaine, $400. Parker's office is warm and masculine, lots of English pine. In fact, the entire house projects a sort of Anglo-Saxon old money atmosphere of things handed down for generations. Her picture book bedroom combines centuries-old style with modern conveniences. It's her favorite room in the house, and at Kirstie's suggestion, I did my first interview ever in a bedroom. Cheers.
Yeah.
Do you like Ted Danson?
Yes, I love Ted.
Will you stay with Cheers?
No.
When will you leave? You say that so emphatically.
Well, I just know that I won't. I know we're all going to take a vote to decide if we all want to stay.
If Ted leaves, will you leave?
Absolutely.
If you leave, will he leave?
Probably not.
So this may be the last year.
Yes.
When you won the Emmy Award last year for Best Actress in a Comedy Series, you got up there and you said, remember about your husband?
Oh, I remember.
You want me to say it, or would you like to say it?
You say it.
Well, what you said was, I would like to thank my husband for giving me the big one. And
Yeah.
the audience went crazy. What did you mean?
I meant the big one.
You mean sexually, the big one?
Oh, absolutely.
I see. That's what you were thanking him for all these years?
Yeah, you know, I thought,
Yeah, what were you thinking?
this is what I really thought.
Yeah.
I'm walking up there thinking, I got to thank Parker. And I think, what am I going to thank Parker for? Making sure I get to work on time? No. He doesn't ever think, we don't work, you know, we don't run our lines together and stuff, so what am I going to thank him for? So in a split second, I decided to thank him for something real.
Like,
The big one.
if you had to do all over again, would you say the same thing?
It worked for me.
When you were a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
what did you expect of your life?
When I was a little kid, I expected I would be a movie star. I would envision myself being a movie star, but with limos and men and wild and booze and I don't know where I got this idea. And I had that for many, many years.
But then you go off to college,
Uh-huh.
drop out of college,
Uh-huh.
become an interior decorator for a while. Now comes the dark part. You talked openly about drugs and about cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back then. Did you sell it?
No.
Did you try to turn other people on?
Yes. That's what I feel the worst thing that I did was I'm very convincing as a person, I believe, and I always have been. And I'm very enthusiastic about new things. And I was very enthusiastic about cocaine. And I thought, this is how I look at it. If every person I told to do cocaine told, say, 20 people, you know, avalanche, I consider myself responsible for about 1 million people doing drugs.
And finally, you put yourself in this drug rehab, Knock-On.
Yes.
Knock-On, which is
Yes.
the drug rehab center run by the Church of Scientology.
Sort of not. Half and half, right.
Okay, I have to get into Scientology. You knew that I would.
Yes.
Okay. Enormously controversial. To many, to yourself, it's a religion.
Mm-hmm.
To others, to some critics, it's a dangerous cult that takes money from people, that imposes its will. There have been people involved who have sued it. There have been people involved who have gone to prison. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Mm-hmm. In my experience in the last 12 years, I have not come across anything like you're talking about. But I do feel like this. I feel like, say you ask a person who was molested by a priest when he was 10 years old. He may, if you ask him about being a Catholic, he may have all sorts of horrible pictures to paint of being a Catholic. And they may be true for him. So I understand why he isn't a Catholic, but that isn't the entire embodiment of the Catholic Church. That is one priest treating one person like that. So I tend to look at everything specifically, because every single person on this planet has a different spiritual viewpoint.
Is your husband a member of the Church of Scientology?
No.
Does that bother you, or does your being in it bother him?
No. Parker's an Episcopalian.
Tell me about this marriage. I have heard that you met him. Well, you tell me how you met.
I met him in a bar restaurant, and I was sitting with Mimi Rogers.
Is it true that you went up to Parker's date and said, you're with him now, honey, but not for long, he's going to be mine, or something
No,
like
what
that?
I said was, just as bad, actually, was I said, I know you came with him, but he's leaving with me.
And he married this nutcake?
He married me. Go figure.
How is it today, this marriage?
It's a funny marriage, you know, because I don't think Parker and I ever thought. If you would ask either one of us at any given moment, is this going to last for the rest of your life? We would say, who knows? We aren't the kind of romantic people that sit around and say, oh, darling, I just know this is forever. We don't. But it really works.
Let's talk a little bit about the career.
Okay.
The big breakthrough was Star Trek II.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same, do you think it was the ears or the eye? Let's see those. Let us see what.
Yes, and bees. Yeah.
At the time that you got that part, that was the same time that your mother was killed
Yes.
in an automobile accident.
The happiest moment of my life, literally, was when I got that movie. And the saddest moment of my life was when my mother died. But there was something that occurred that sort of summed up my mother in this time period. When I got a call that, first of all, you have to know that my mother was a very funny person. She and I were a little bit like oil and water. Didn't mix too well. She was a very funny person. So anyway, I got this phone call. My sister called me, and I was in Los Angeles, and said, Mom and Dad have been in a car wreck, and Mother is dead. And Dad is dying. And I, of course, was falling apart. But all I knew was I had to get there. And I got there, and my sister and I, we were all sitting in this waiting room, and we were sobbing. And as I'm crying, I said, my sister's here, and I wasn't looking at her, but I said, where were they going? And she said, to a Halloween party. And I said, what were they dressed as? Why would you ask this? Why would you? And she said, the Odd Couple. And I said, oh. And I'm thinking, what Odd Couple? Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon? Well, what were their costumes exactly? She said, Mom was a black girl and Dad was a Ku Klux Klan member. We started laughing. And the whole family, I guess, had heard this conversation, and we all started laughing. And it was the greatest tribute that you could give my mother. Do you know? And I really realized that through us, she existed. You know, she would continue. And that she had left us with this wonderful sense of humor and this wonderful ability to laugh and cry at the same time. So I felt closer to her then than I'd ever felt to her in my life.
There is a picture I noticed behind me on your bureau. Is that your mother?
No. I bought that frame, and it had that woman's face in it, and I felt like this is everybody's mother.
But you don't even know this woman?
No. But doesn't she look like everybody's mother? Doesn't she look like the woman that makes cookies and tucks you in?
But that's just, I mean, that's so bizarre and funny and wonderful.
It's
crazy. Mother, but it isn't mother. I mean, if I had to sum you up, I would tell people this. We all walked in here and we said, oh, isn't that touching? That's Kirstie's mother on her bureau next to her. It's a lady you don't even know?
No, my mother's right there with that sailor.
Is that sailor your father?
No.
I won't even go further. Kirstie, do you want very much to have a baby?
Yes. I do. I want to have another baby in, I want to start trying again in, wait a minute, May.
What will you tell your children about drugs?
I will tell them how they didn't enhance my life and how I consider it to be 4 years wasted out of my life. I will also tell them that if they have this urge to do drugs, they should really ask themselves what it is that they don't want to look at. Because I've never met a person, ever, that did drugs that was not trying to hide something.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Very thin.
Best answer I've ever gotten to that question. What's the best piece of advice you were given?
The best piece of advice I was given was by my father. And I thought he was an idiot when he said it. And he said, if you always tell the truth, you will be a very happy person.
And?
He's right.